Zhang Xiao stands against a pink floral background, introducing herself as a 22-year-old. She reflects on her recent college graduation, contemplating her single life with a hint of uncertainty. To her shock, a young child suddenly appears, addressing her as mommy, creating confusion. Zhang Xiao pushes her shopping cart, fully immersed in her thoughts about unexpected surprises. Startled by an oncoming car, she rushes to move aside, her vegetables scattering in the air. She falls hard onto the pavement, rubbing her head in disbelief as a crowd gathers around. The car stops abruptly, with the driver shouting at her for not seeing his vehicle. Mu Chen, a stern-looking man, steps out, observing the scene with an unreadable expression. His assistants confess their driving error to Mu Chen, acknowledging their fault in the chaos. Zhang Xiao, mildly irritated, murmurs dissatisfaction under her breath. A security guard attempts to manage the situation, questioning Zhang Xiao's intentions. She feels a sense of injustice, thinking about how she was hit and criticized without apology. Mu Chen questions her actions, slightly irked by the confrontation. Amidst the commotion, the child who called Zhang Xiao mommy appears, cheerfully picking up a carrot. The toddler proudly presents the carrot to Zhang Xiao, smiling widely. Confused, Zhang Xiao ponders over the child's words, wondering about the sudden family claim. The child continues to call her mommy, unfazed by Zhang Xiao's attempt to explain she's merely a sister figure. Zhang Xiao, unable to resist the child's charm, cuddles her warmly, feeling an unexpected bond. A vision of comfort and familiarity envelops them, with the child's name, Tong Tong, echoing in the background. A woman rushes forward, apologizing to Mu Chen for not keeping a close watch on the child. Mu Chen, deep in thought, listens as Zhang Xiao is urged to return the child to the car. Tong Tong becomes visibly distressed, crying out for her mommy as she's taken away. Mu Chen commands his assistant to handle the situation calmly, but efficiently. Zhang Xiao stands alone, holding a carrot with a mix of emotions as the sky clears. Feeling overwhelmed by endless rules and expectations, she walks towards her next destination on a bicycle. Upon arrival, an attendant greets her with formality, offering to escort her to meet Mu Chen. Inside, Mu Chen sits with Tong Tong on his lap, seemingly unaffected by the chaos outside. Mu Chen insists on keeping Tong Tong with him, dismissing further intervention while the child continues to call for Zhang Xiao. Zhang Xiao's presence causes a ripple of recognition as Tong Tong persists in calling out to her. Face to face with Mu Chen, Zhang Xiao recalls the day's events, poised to address their unfinished business. Mu Chen stood in a luxurious room, inviting Zhang Xiao to sit with a gesture of his hand, his expression calm and composed. A cup of tea was placed in front of Zhang Xiao, with Mu Chen explaining that her presence was requested for a different purpose this time. Zhang Xiao held a cup of tea, pondering Mu Chen's words, her curiosity piqued. Mu Ya, a little girl, reached out excitedly towards Zhang Xiao, calling her mommy, prompting Zhang Xiao's surprise and confusion. Zhang Xiao gently held Mu Ya, who clung to her lovingly, and questioned whether she was to be called mommy or aunt. Reflecting on Mu Ya's milestone, it was noted that despite being only 1.5 years old, she called Zhang Xiao mommy for the first time. Mu Chen revealed that Mu Ya's mother had died in a tragic accident a year prior, leaving the child motherless. Zhang Xiao expressed her ignorance about the situation, showing concern and empathy. Mu Chen explained that Mu Ye had taken to Zhang Xiao immediately, constantly calling for her and crying if she wasn't around. Zhang Xiao focused on Mu Chen as he revealed the reason for inviting her, Mu Ye's attachment and his own first impression of her. Zhang Xiao's eyes reflected attentiveness as she encouraged Mu Chen to share more of his thoughts. Mu Chen made the bold request for Zhang Xiao to become Mu Ye's mother, his tone direct and earnest. The grandeur of the room emphasized the weight of Mu Chen's request as he urged Zhang Xiao to accept. Zhang Xiao, sitting with Mu Ya on her lap, was struck by the proposal, wondering if Mu Chen was asking her to become his wife. Mu Chen clarified his intentions. He needed Zhang Xiao to nurture Mu Ya like a friend or nanny, not to replace her mother. Zhang Xiao looked down at Mu Ye, feeling conflicted, and shared with Mu Chen her disquiet over the arrangement. Mu Chen, seated comfortably, weighed the potential misunderstandings and media attention if Zhang Xiao took on the motherly role. Zhang Xiao, while holding Mu Ya, worried about the emotional impact on the child if she left after stepping into a motherly role. Mu Chen's gaze was serious as he acknowledged the potential pain Mu Ye might endure if she grew too attached to Zhang Xiao. Acknowledging the hastiness of his request, Zhang Xiao advised Mu Chen about the necessity of love and presence in raising Mu Ya, suggesting he consider the deeper emotional needs of the child. Mu Ye cried out for Zhang Xiao, causing Mu Chen to gently remind the toddler that Zhang Xiao wasn't her mother. Holding Mu Ye close, Mu Chen comforted her, reiterating that Zhang Xiao was not her mother, though feeling the weight of the words. A maid advised Mu Chen to consider bringing Zhang Xiao back, emphasizing the emotional toll on Mu Ya. Mu Chen, with determination, resolved to invite Zhang Xiao back into Mu Ye's life, understanding the depth of the child's attachment. Zhang Xiao, reflecting on Mu Ye's cries, remembered her own childhood and the pain of being separated from her mother. In memory, under a rainstorm, a young Zhang Xiao cried out, holding on to her own mother, pleading for her not to leave. Zhang Xiao struggled with her thoughts, deciding it was time to stop overthinking. Feeling determined, Zhang Xiao resolved to buy some food, stepping out with purpose. As Zhang Xiao walked, she heard someone urgently call for her to stop, leaving her momentarily confused. Returning home, Zhang Xiao was warmly greeted by Mu Ya, who joyfully acknowledged her presence. Meanwhile, Mu Chen presented a contract, inviting Zhang Xiao to review and comment on it. Mu Chen explained that signing the contract would make it immediately effective, while Zhang Xiao held Mu Ya. Zhang Xiao questioned Mu Chen regarding a previous conversation that left her slightly bewildered. Mu Chen expressed his concerns, hoping to find a solution while prioritizing Mu Ye's well-being. The contract details were revealed, outlining Zhang Xiao's responsibilities and restrictions, including a ban on loving Mu Chen. Zhang Xiao pondered the implications of the contract, feeling both surprised and curious. She wondered if Mu Chen's confidence was perhaps excessive, contemplating her next steps. Observing Mu Chen, Zhang Xiao recognized his impressive charisma and financial standing. Resolute, Zhang Xiao decided to sign the contract, but with one specific condition. Mu Chen, intrigued, encouraged Zhang Xiao to share her condition, willing to accommodate. Zhang Xiao explained her need to finish work at a specific time, ensuring other caregivers would be available for Mu Ya. Mu Chen requested a reason, prompting Zhang Xiao to clarify her stance. Zhang Xiao asserted her desire to focus on her career and future, highlighting her independence. Mu Chen expressed his desire for Zhang Xiao to be consistently involved in Mu Ye's life, including at night. Zhang Xiao calmly expressed her priorities, emphasizing her need to look beyond immediate obligations. Holding Mu Ya, Zhang Xiao reiterated her resolve, fully aware of her ability to make decisions. Observing from afar, some staff were surprised by Zhang Xiao's boldness and questioned her identity. Mu Chen realized Zhang Xiao would refuse the contract without her conditions being met. Zhang Xiao explained her affection for Mu Ya, but emphasized her personal aspirations. Mu Chen acknowledged Zhang Xiao's perspective, suggesting a compromise to accommodate her schedule and involve additional help. Agreeing to the terms, Zhang Xiao requested precise documentation reflecting their agreement. With plans set, Zhang Xiao informed Mu Chen she would prepare for her new role, leaving Mu Ya asleep in his care. Mu Chen assured Zhang Xiao that someone would pick her up later, ensuring smooth transitions. As Mu Chen gently patted Mu Ye's head, another family member approached, acknowledging Aunt Lan. With an air of seriousness, Mu Chen made a call, instructing Ning Jiayuan to investigate someone quietly. Standing by the window, Mu Chen reinforced the urgency and secrecy required for the investigation. Mu Chen, holding his phone, watches Zhang Xiao walking along the street below from his office window. Her presence captivates his attention, and her name echoes in his thoughts. Ning Ji-yuan, CEO of Ning Company, sits in his office, speaking over the phone, his expression focused and concerned about a girl named Tong Tong. Mu Chen holds his phone, explaining that Mu Ya, his daughter, is attached to Zhang Xiao, even calling her mommy amidst continuous tears. He closes his eyes momentarily, reconsidering the unexpected attachment Mu Ya developed only towards Zhang Xiao, a stranger. Mu Chen listens as questions arise regarding Zhang Xiao's resemblance to Tong Tong, a topic that stirs something within him. The conversation shifts to consider how Zhang Xiao and Tong Tong are different despite their similar age. The contrast leaves Mu Chen contemplative. Mu Chen recollects inviting Zhang Xiao to be Mu Ye's mother and nanny, having found her at the Hongqi night market selling grilled skewers. He signed a contract with her, yet she never seemed like an ordinary vendor. The scene depicts the bustling cityscape where a small note hints at a connection between Zhang Xiao and someone named Zhang Haoqian, raising further questions. News breaks of Mu Yi, heir of Mu Corporation, being involved in a serious traffic accident, leaving a looming shadow of unrest. At the hospital, Mu Chen is informed that his brother Mu Yi is out of danger but remains severely injured, requiring much time to recover. An emotional wave hits as the situation concerning his wife, Ning Tong, and a direct call from the nurse demands immediate attention. A dramatic scene unfolds in the hospital room, filled with grief and urgency as a storm rages both inside and out. Mu Yi's survival becomes bittersweet as the injury leaves him handicapped, a heavy burden to bear. With the presidency of Mu Corporation passed on to Mu Chen, significant responsibilities now rest on his shoulders. Mu Chen, amidst his paperwork, prepares for an upcoming meeting, trying to maintain order amidst recent upheavals. Reflections on the traffic accident lead to conclusions regarding its accidental nature, with no clear party to blame, leaving Mu Chen slightly unsettled. He gazes out of the window, pondering if Zhang Xiao is truly who she appears to be, a troubling thought against the city's skyline. Zhang Haoqian's name lingers in Mu Chen's mind, linked to Zhang Xiao, creating a web of complex feelings and mystery. Zhang Xiao arrives at her apartment, holding a bag of groceries, stepping inward with a sense of routine and calmness. Her surprised expression meets Yi Shouji at her door, his unexpected visit prompting immediate curiosity. Yi Shouji, the deputy director of Haoqian Group, stands in the hallway, a confident yet mysterious figure. Inside, he questions Zhang Xiao's whereabouts and her lack of communication, showing a hint of concern. Zhang Xiao explains that her phone, now charging, died earlier, leading to her temporary disconnection. As she moves towards the kitchen, she mentions having visited someone, hinting at a significant meeting. She reveals that it was Mu Chen she met, launching a wave of curiosity and concern from Yi Shouji. Pressed for details, she calmly recounts how Mu Chen approached her with an unexpected proposition. Zhang Xiao explains the offer to be Mu Yi's adopted mother, including a monthly salary that promises financial stability. Uncertainty flashes as Yi Shouji questions the decision, aware of potential familial ramifications. Zhang Xiao resolves her position, reflecting on her family's distant link and asserting independence from their influence. She concludes with a steadfast determination to move forward, her past not defining her future decisions. Under a dim, rainy sky, a woman takes a small child's hand, reflecting on the child's fondness for calling her mommy. She stands alone, contemplating her memories and the persistent echoes of her past. A conversation stirs with Tsuji, who reminds her of unresolved issues rooted in her mother's death. Her anger rises, blaming another for the plane crash that took her mother's life. Forgiveness seems impossible. She acknowledges the care Tsuji has shown over the years, but firmly asks him to stop encouraging reconciliation. Expressing discomfort, Tsuji informs her that Mu Chen wishes to speak with her, adding a note of mystery. She reacts dismissively, expressing no interest in Mu Chen's problems. Tsuji reassures her that despite issues between their fathers, Mu Chen holds her in esteem and will not cause her distress. He sighs, resigned yet hopeful, asking if she needs an escort. She insists on managing herself. With a quiet demeanor, she politely declines his offer, making light of the potential fan frenzy. Playfully, she nudges him along, suggesting she's ready to handle things on her own. Her phone rings, interrupting the moment. Surprised, she answers quickly. Concern washes over her as she learns that King is injured and helpless. Meanwhile, someone informs Ning Zhiyuan that a visitor is waiting, referencing an urgent meeting. Mu Chen strides through the office, greeted warmly by peers, heading toward a crucial discussion. He inquires about information, his demeanor sharp and penetrating. His colleague hands over a report, hinting at significant findings that pique Mu Chen's interest. They reveal sensitive details about Zhang Haoqian's familial connections, surprising Mu Chen. Sitting alone outside a surgery room, she grapples with her thoughts, the atmosphere tense with waiting. Discussions continue about her past choices, including abandoning a cherished career. An argument unfolds over using personal vendettas to fuel professional decisions, leaving tension in its wake. Despite the chaos surrounding her, Mu Chen reiterates a focus on immediate family, urging rational decisions. Amid the office buzz, an important call alerts Mu Chen to Zhang Xiao's absence and a child's tears. Back at work, the urgency to locate Zhang Xiao grows as Muya's distress remains unresolved. Xu Ji and Zhang Xiao sit in a hospital, discussing her injured friend and their current predicament. On a call, Zhang Xiao faces a reminder of her professional duties tied to Muya's well-being. Mu Chen finds the news about Zhang Haoqian perplexing and frustrating, interrupting his thoughts. Zhang Xiao, feeling abruptly dismissed, wonders about Mu Chen's unexplained harshness. Xu Ji confirms the urgency of Muya's desire to see Zhang Xiao, highlighting Mu Chen's determination. Xu Ji shares his insights on Mu Chen, portraying him as resolute and unwavering, a constant in the chaos. Zhang Xiao stands in a hospital corridor, feeling something strange about her surroundings and the soft murmur of footsteps approaching. Yi Shouji, wearing glasses, appears next to Zhang Xiao, prompting her to wonder how he managed to find her so quickly. A serious-looking Mu Chen approaches Zhang Xiao, requesting her presence with an authoritative tone. Zhang Xiao explains to Mu Chen that her friend is injured and undergoing surgery, making it impossible for her to leave at the moment. Mu Chen inquires if there are any other relatives who can support Zhang Xiao's friend during this crisis. Zhang Xiao responds firmly, stating that Yi Qing is an orphan and she is her only family, needing to stay to care for her post-surgery. Before she can react, Mu Chen takes Zhang Xiao by the arm, attempting to lead her away against her will. Yi Shouji steps in, trying to intervene, but Mu Chen insists that this matter is not for others to interfere. Mu Chen reminds Zhang Xiao of her contractual obligations to care for Mu Ya, emphasizing the legal binding of their agreement. He walks away, leaving Zhang Xiao to reflect on his deep-seated distress, likely tied to past wounds. Struggling against Mu Chen's grip, Zhang Xiao cries out for help, feeling overwhelmed by the situation. Zhang Xiao attempts to free herself, reasoning with Mu Chen about why he is forcefully dragging her away. Confronting Mu Chen, Zhang Xiao questions whether she should discard her friend's well-being for his daughter's sake. Zhang Xiao declares her wish to terminate the contract with Mu Chen, suggesting he find someone else to fulfill her role. Both stand outside the surgery room, tensions running high as they face each other under the harsh corridor lights. Zhang Xiao, angered, demands to know who is responsible for Yi Qing, standing her ground against Mu Chen. Raising her hand to assert her presence, Zhang Xiao affirms her commitment to be by her friend's side. A doctor informs Zhang Xiao that the surgery was successful, but Yi Qing needs a 15-day recovery period, offering her relief. Zhang Xiao reassures Yi Shouji and Yi Qing, explaining that her friend is now free from pain thanks to the medical treatment. Yi Qing, curious about the people surrounding her, asks Zhang Xiao for clarification about them. Zhang Xiao gently admonishes Yi Qing to be more cautious in the future, admitting her previous anxiety for her well-being. She promises to explain everything later, offering to fetch water for Yi Qing, determined to keep her friend comfortable. Mu Chen reappears, insisting that his family will take over caretaking responsibilities, urging Zhang Xiao to fulfill her duties to Mu Ye. Following Mu Chen's command, a servant steps forward to attend to Yi Qing, indicating the shift of responsibility. Yi Shouji attempts to mediate, advising Mu Chen to treat Zhang Xiao with more respect in light of her diligence and concern. Zhang Xiao, asserting her independence, announces her intention to walk back by herself, resisting Mu Chen's control. Delegating her concern, Zhang Xiao requests Hu Ji to help care for Yi Qing while she addresses other pressing matters. Standing confident before Mu Chen, Zhang Xiao insists on mutual respect and communication, regardless of their contractual terms. Mu Chen shows Zhang Xiao an image of Mu Ya on his phone, reminding her of her obligations to his daughter. On the phone screen, a distressed Mu Ya is visibly upset, amplifying Mu Chen's underlying concern and urgency for Zhang Xiao's return. Mu Ya stood hesitantly in the hospital hallway, her hand clutching her shirt as she pondered over a troubling thought. Back home, a caretaker gently held baby Mu Ya, who reached out and called for her mother with a tender longing. Mu Ya looked down at her phone, contemplating a message, knowing she had to part with her niece and return with her father. Dressed in a sharp suit, Ning Jiayuan watched Mu Ya, acknowledging her responsibilities with approval. Mu Ya expressed her wish to Ning Jiayuan, asking him to convey a message, promising to return by evening. She glanced at her phone, feeling the pangs of being misunderstood, not knowing whether to feel relief or frustration. Ning Ji-yuan, flustered, addressed Mu-ya through the phone, trying to calm her tears from a distance. As Mu-ya attempted to leave, a firm voice called out, stopping her in her tracks, urging her to pause. Handing over some money, Mu-ya thought about the complex relationship she was navigating with her family. Ning Ji-yuan complied reluctantly, agreeing to pass along Mu-ya's message despite wishing she would handle it herself. Mu-ya insisted she'd handle the visitations herself, despite the rising complications and her uncertainty of the timing. In the elevator, Ning Ji-yuan met Mu-ya, querying if she needed any help as he maintained his formal demeanor. Meanwhile, baby Mu-ya, filled with longing, peered out the window, pointing towards the cars passing by. As Ning Ji-yuan collapsed dramatically in front of the child, Mu-ya rushed forward calling out for her mother. In a gesture of reconciliation, Mu-ya held the child closely, reassuring her presence, much to the amusement of Ning Ji-yuan. Sitting on the couch with Mu-ya asleep on her lap, Mu-ya greeted Ning Ji-yuan with calm poise. Holding her niece protectively, Mu-ya questioned Ning Ji-yuan on whether he had passed on her message. Annoyed, Ning Ji-yuan couldn't help but feel reduced to an errand runner, contemplating the significance of his duties. With a welcoming gesture, Ning Ji-yuan invited baby Mu-ya for a hug, trying to engage with her. Baby Mu-ya looked unsure and displeased at Ning Ji-yuan's attempt, making her discomfort apparent. Mu-ya intervened, chastising Ning Ji-yuan's intense gaze and empathizing with her niece's wants. Ning Ji-yuan announced that it was mealtime, prompting Mu-ya to take up the task of feeding the baby. As the spoon approached, Mu-ya tasted the porridge, finding it unexpectedly delicious and encouraging Mu-ya to try. Baby Mu-ya hesitated slightly at the porridge but was gently encouraged by Mu-ya to give it a try. Ning Ji-yuan offered a playful warning about the difficulty of feeding Mu-ya, shaking his head at the task's challenge. Contemplating the situation, Mu-ya wondered if Ning Ji-yuan was intentionally making her life more complicated. With a playful gleam in her eyes, baby Mu-ya turned to face Mu-ya, awaiting her attention. Baby Mu-ya finally took a bite of the porridge, bringing delight and satisfaction in the quiet moment of success. With a sense of affection, Mu-ya leaned in, reveling in the tender bond between them. Embracing baby Mu-ya, Mu-ya posed a playful question, basking in the warmth of their mutual love. In a cozy living room, Ning Ji-yuan watches over little Mu-ya while sitting on a couch, pondering the woman's ability to care for her so well. Ning Ji-yuan praises Mu-ya for finishing her porridge, already feeling a soft bond forming with the child. Mu-ya, reaching out with small hands, calls out longingly for her mother, as others observe her earnestness. Zhang Xiao, holding Mu-ya securely, contemplates whether she truly doesn't need a father like him, reflecting inwardly about her connection to the child's mother. As Zhang Xiao assists in the kitchen, she reflects on Ning Ji-yuan's background and educational history, curious about her shift to selling barbecue skewers at the night market. The thoughts about Zhang Haokan's remarriage swirl in Zhang Xiao's mind, adding layers to the family dynamics she's come to observe. Ning Ji-yuan in the kitchen senses tension as she addresses Mr. Mu, questioning his closeness to Mu-ya and pondering their relationship. A flashback reveals Mr. Mu's overwhelming stress, caused by the recent passing of Tong Tong and pressures from the company. Zhang Xiao reaches out with a gentle hand, reminding Mr. Mu of the terms of their contract, which include not becoming too close. Confusion strikes Zhang Xiao as she recalls the words of the contract, wondering if it truly instructed them not to love one another. Zhang Xiao, approaching with a calm demeanor, assures Mr. Mu she only wishes to hold Mu-ya without any ulterior motives. Mu-ya, nestled in the arms of Mr. Mu, gets playful, returning to Zhang Xiao's care, displaying a sense of security. As obligations call, Zhang Xiao feels a tug at her heartstrings, knowing she must solve matters for the company while not overstaying her welcome with Mu-ya. Stepping outside, Zhang Xiao hears the stern warnings about not letting Mu-ya grow too attached, feeling the weight of these words. In the driveway, Zhang Xiao stands firm, refusing to leave even if it risks personal injury, hinting at deeper emotions and commitments. Zhang Xiao requests time off to visit a friend in the hospital, indicating the importance of tending to her personal relationships amid her duties. Mr. Mu permits Zhang Xiao's departure only when the allotted time is up, maintaining his authoritative stance during their exchange. With Mu-ya in his arm, Mr. Mu recalls the instructions to prevent Zhang Xiao and Mu-ya's prolonged togetherness, contemplating its significance once more. Zhang Xiao stands earnestly, recalling reminders that Mu Yi must eventually recognize Tong Tong as her mother, as these thoughts pull at her conscience. Caught in a conversation about responsibilities, Zhang Xiao firmly states the contractual obligations that tie her to Mu Ya, standing up for her assigned role. Tensions rise as Mr. Mu forbids Zhang Xiao from entering certain areas of the estate, reminding her of the boundaries set between them. Zhang Xiao, while outwardly composed, internally questions the arrogance tied to the authority Mr. Mu wields, comparing it to a royal prerogative. As voices call out for their mother and eldest brother, a feeling of longing fills the air, creating a moment of familial yearning. Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru and Mu Yi gather with Mu Chen and Mu Ya, forming a tight-knit family group where unspoken support transcends the air. Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru urges Mu Chen to guide his older brother, hoping to mend the strained familial relationships woven with love and tension. Mu Yi, seated in his wheelchair, laments about being perceived as useless, revealing his vulnerability beneath the family's watchful eyes. With Mu Ya in his grasp, Mu Chen offers comfort to Mu Yi, silently urging him to dismiss negative thoughts for the sake of family morale. A striking revelation occurs when Mu Chen contemplates an invitation to a wedding, feeling the sting of past wounds reopened. Mu Yi reminisces bitterly about being abandoned, expressing his resentment through defiant gestures, symbolizing a desire to regain control. Overcome with frustration about his disability, Mu Yi vocalizes his struggles, yearning for the strength to rise above his perceived limitations, while Mu Chen offers words of encouragement, reminding him of the doctor's optimism. Mu Chen and Mu Ye share a moment outside. Mu Chen insists on accompanying his brother, who seems upset but determined to stay independent. Mu Ya, Mu Chen's daughter, looks up and calls for her mother, conveying her longing for maternal affection. Mu Chen gently holds Mu Ya, cautioning her to behave as they are standing in front of their large family home. Mu Chen leans down, offering to let Mu Yi hold Mu Ya, wishing to share the warmth of the family bond. Mu Yi, in a wheelchair, reaches out with anticipation towards Mu Ya, who looks at him with innocent curiosity. Mu Yi softly asks Mu Ya if she remembers him, showing a gentle connection between uncle and niece. Surprised by Mu Ya's affectionate gesture, Mu Yi wonders if the little girl has kissed him. Mrs. Mu watches happily as Mu Yi excitedly shares that Mu Ya spoke to him, a significant milestone for the family. Mu Chen, standing tall, reflects on whether Mu Ya's comforting presence is a result of Zhang Xiao's influence. The conversation turns to Zhang Xiao, a potential caregiver for Mu Ya, raising questions about her capabilities. Concerns about Zhang Xiao's background emerge, specifically whether she has connections to Zhang Haoqian. Mu Chen acknowledges he asked Ning Jiayuan to look into Zhang Xiao, revealing she was a simple street vendor. He reassures his family that Zhang Xiao is unrelated to Zhang Haoqian, easing their worries. In the kitchen, Aunt Lan discusses instructions for Mu Ya's care, capturing daily domestic life. Zhang Xiao is surprised by Mr. Mu's presence and his inquiry about Mu Ya, showcasing her newness to the household. Mu Chen gives direct orders to Aunt Lan, emphasizing immediate attention to Mu Ya's cries, reflecting his care. He then requests a private conversation, highlighting his authority and perhaps hinting at an underlying tension. Aunt Lan encourages Zhang Xiao to follow Mu Chen's lead, underscoring the importance of respect and diligence. Zhang Xiao and Aunt Lan discuss her tenure, leading Zhang Xiao to reflect on Mu Chen's behavior towards her. Zhang Xiao questions the genuineness of Mr. Mu's kindness, internally debating her own standing in this new environment. She expresses her insecurity, wondering if her fresh status causes Mr. Mu's harshness, revealing her vulnerability. Aunt Lan urges Zhang Xiao not to delay, stressing the importance of timeliness in the Mu household. Zhang Xiao enters a room where Mu Chen curtly berates her for being slow, displaying his impatience. Standing firm, Zhang Xiao challenges Mu Chen's assumption that she was aware of him waiting. She questions why Mu Chen is glaring if his time is truly precious, demonstrating her bold spirit. Mu Chen sighs and instructs Zhang Xiao never to reveal her background, emphasizing secrecy to protect an unknown motive. Confused, Zhang Xiao questions the necessity of posing as an orphan, seeking clarity in her puzzling new role. Mu Chen offers no explanation, leaving Zhang Xiao frustrated yet determined. She firmly states her inability to comply without understanding, asserting her own principles. Mu Chen reluctantly reveals that Zhang Xiao's stance is forced by contractual obligations, hinting at deeper complexities. Zhang Xiao stands next to Mu Chen in an office setting, feeling the tension between them as they discuss her responsibilities as Mu Ye's nanny. Mu Chen reassures Zhang Xiao, offering his support if she ever finds herself in trouble, showing a sign of unexpected kindness. Zhang Xiao considers Mu Chen's words, pondering over the contract she holds as he walks away, leaving her with thoughts of uncertainty. Mu Chen hands her a card, explaining it's her 1-year salary, emphasizing the importance of taking good care of Mu Ya. Zhang Xiao stands alone, reflecting on Mu Chen's peculiar behavior, questioning what makes this man so enigmatic. Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru, holding the crying child Mu Ya, is greeted by a servant who anticipates assistance from Zhang Xiao. Observing Mu Ya, Zhang Xiao wonders if she's encountered this little girl before, feeling a sense of familiarity. Zhang Xiao gently holds Mu Ya, introducing herself as the new nanny, feeling the warmth of the child's presence. Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru introduces herself warmly, acknowledging Zhang Xiao's role and welcoming her into the household. Zhang Xiao is invited inside, feeling a sense of intrigue about the connections within this household. As they sit for tea, Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru starts a conversation about their past, hinting at a previous encounter. Zhang Xiao deflects, claiming she's just a night market vendor, trying to downplay any past interactions. With Mu Ya on her lap, Zhang Xiao feels Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru's approving gaze, noting how the child seems to enjoy her company. Zhang Xiao listens as conversation shifts to Mu Ya's mother, feeling the weight of unspoken family history. Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru abruptly stops, dismissing the sensitive topic, maintaining decorum in the setting. Zhang Xiao inquires about the family members in the household, revealing a father to be the lone parent. She shares her own experience of having an absent father, recounting how she hasn't seen him for a long time. Mu Ya curiously grips the card in Zhang Xiao's pocket, drawing attention to her inquisitive nature. Zhang Xiao explains her new role and the salary card from Mr. Mu, committing herself to Mu Ya's well-being. Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru praises Mu Ya as the cherished family member, affirming her trust in Zhang Xiao's abilities as a caretaker. Zhang Xiao reassures Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru of her dedication, promising to keep Mu Ya happy and safe. Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru instructs Mu Ya to be obedient, preparing to leave, demonstrating her affection for her grandchild. Mu Ya cheerfully waves goodbye to her grandmother, clutching the card tightly, showing her emerging understanding. Zhang Xiao marvels at Mu Ya's quick learning, touched by the child's growing bond with her. Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru reflects with another family member about Zhang Xiao, contrasting her with someone named Tong Tong. The metaphor of Tong Tong as a sheltered flower against Zhang Xiao's struggles presents a vivid picture of their different lives. As Mu Yi watches the family scene from a wheelchair, Mrs. Mu Zhao Ziru asks about his plans, highlighting her caring nature. Mu Yi requests to move closer, wanting to feel more a part of the lively atmosphere created by Mu Ye's laughter. The sunlight warms the moment as Mu Yi expresses his appreciation for the joyful sounds surrounding him. Zhang Xiao receives a call as she steps outside, stating her own assurance and feeling the complexities of her new life unfold. Zhang Xiao receives a frantic call from her friend, who expresses exhaustion from taking care of Mu Chen and asks for her help in keeping him occupied. Zhang Xiao considers taking a break herself, but wonders what she should prepare for dinner. Her friend assures her that anything she makes will be fine, suggesting soup. A small child, Mu Ya, runs toward Zhang Xiao, calling out to her excitedly while holding a flower in her hand. Zhang Xiao's friend questions if there are any troublesome people nearby. Zhang Xiao tells her friend to rest and assures her that if there is any trouble, she will inform her. She then hugs Mu Ya, showing affection. Zhang Xiao muses about Mu Ya's perception of certain people as bad, feeling amused as she wipes Mu Ya's mouth gently. Suddenly, Mu Ye notices Zhang Xiao's ringing phone and curiously asks about the unfamiliar number on the screen. Mu Chen is shown on the other end, perplexed as to why his private number is under scrutiny, as only a select few know it. Zhang Xiao answers the call from Mu Chen. He inquires if Mu Ya is with her. Zhang Xiao confirms Mu Ye's presence and informs the little girl that her dad is on the phone. Another call comes in as Mu Ya begins to play with the phone, showing interest in the incoming call. Mu Ya eagerly presents the phone to Zhang Xiao, expecting praise or a compliment for her actions. Mu Chen is frustrated as the call disconnects before he can address anything, leaving him slightly irritated about the unreliable connection. Zhang Xiao playfully informs Mu Chen that it was his precious daughter who ended the call, assuring him it was not intentional on her part. Zhang Xiao lightly chastises Mu Ya, pointing out the inconvenience she caused, while Mu Ye giggles innocently. Mu Chen questions if Mu Ye has been saying anything, prompting Zhang Xiao to deflect the topic and reassure him that all is fine. Zhang Xiao explains that Mu Ye merely wanted to play with the phone, and if there's nothing else, she plans to end the call. In the office, Mu Chen Bang is seen slamming a file down in frustration, showcasing his intense demeanor. Zhang Xiao ponders aloud about Mu Chen's behavior, noting his dominant nature, but is softened by Mu Ye's innocent face. Zhang Xiao, holding Mu Ye close, decides not to dwell on her grievances with Mu Chen and instead prioritizes her time with Mu Ye. Holding Mu Ya, Zhang Xiao informs Aunt Lin that it's already 4 o'clock and she needs to go home. Zhang Xiao is about to leave but is asked by another woman to stay. As Mu Ye clings to her, Mu Ye starts crying when Zhang Xiao tries to leave, prompting concern from the woman at the doorway, who is curious about the commotion. Aunt Lin explains that Zhang Xiao has to go to work at the hospital, but Mu Ye doesn't want her to leave due to the potential germs there. The woman persuades Zhang Xiao to stay, promising to let her go after Mu Ye falls asleep, despite Zhang Xiao's other commitments. The woman offers Zhang Xiao the use of their well-stocked kitchen, suggesting she prepare her promised dinner for a friend there. Zhang Xiao cradles a teary-eyed Mu Ya, accepting the offer while musing about borrowing the kitchen. The woman reassures Zhang Xiao of her freedom to act comfortably in their home, with Zhang Xiao agreeing with a smile. Zhang Xiao ponders about Mu Chen's words to them, acknowledging the hospitality but feeling a lingering reluctance to leave. Suddenly, an unexpected event is announced, catching Zhang Xiao's attention as she inquires about the situation. Mu Chen Bang enters hastily, urging everyone to quickly address the recent mishap concerning Mu Ye. The woman reacts with urgency, questioning the seriousness of Mu Ye's fall while preparing to attend to the situation immediately. Zhang Xiao stands in front of the open fridge, holding little Mu Ya. As she gazes inside, she wonders aloud who they're talking about in the room. Aunt Lin, busy with housework, responds to Zhang Xiao's curiosity, explaining that it's Mr. Mu, who resides next door with his wife and eldest son. Pondering the connection, Zhang Xiao leans slightly to keep listening, intrigued by the mention of the eldest son. Aunt Lin warns Zhang Xiao that some things aren't meant for her to discuss, hinting at secrets within the household. Zhang Xiao acknowledges the mystical aura surrounding the situation, her curiosity piqued even further, wondering about the family's mysteries. Cradling Mu Ye gently, Zhang Xiao assures her to be calm, promising to keep her safe and happy. She offers Mu Ye a comforting hand, suggesting they cook together to brighten up the day. With a tender gesture, Zhang Xiao kisses Mu Ye on the cheek, sealing her promise with affection. Aunt Lin offers to help Zhang Xiao with the cooking, seeing the bond between the two strengthening. Zhang Xiao appreciates the offer but insists on doing it herself, having promised to make something special for Mu Ye. The two share light-hearted words over their friendship, with Zhang Xiao playful in her response. A sleek black car arrives, signaling the presence of someone important, as Aunt Lin prepares to meet the arriving person. Zhang Xiao, watching from a distance, reflects on the arrogance of Mu Chen, understanding him better through these interactions. Finishing up in the kitchen, Zhang Xiao triumphantly raises a jug, feeling delighted by her completed task. Zhang Xiao joyfully presents the food she prepared, sharing the excitement with Mu Ya, who eagerly anticipates the meal. Balancing Mu Ya in one arm, Zhang Xiao offers her some soup, ensuring it's cooled enough for her to enjoy. Mu Chen enters, commenting on the delicious aroma, as Aunt Lin informs him of Zhang Xiao's activities. Zhang Xiao stands confidently, holding Mu Ya as Aunt Lin praises her multifaceted abilities and assures Mu Chen of Zhang Xiao's importance in the household. Zhang Xiao feeds Mu Ya another spoonful, nurturing their deepening bond, as Mu Chen observes silently. Mu Chen announces his return, gently ruffling Mu Ye's hair, signaling a shared moment between them. An unexpected vision of lightning strikes, a foreboding symbol hinting at challenges ahead for Mu Chen and Mu Ya. Bathed in the evening glow, Zhang Xiao reassures Mu Ya, maintaining her resolve and comforting presence. Mu Chen's thoughts linger on Zhang Xiao, a woman who continues to challenge and intrigue him. He questions the dynamics between Zhang Xiao and Mu Ya, irritated with Zhang Xiao's easy rapport with the child. Mu Chen confronts Zhang Xiao, suggesting she acknowledges his presence more formally as her employer. Zhang Xiao recalls someone telling her she was free and not merely a maid, seeking acknowledgement of her independence from Mu Chen. Suspicion and concern overtake Mu Chen as he inquires about what Zhang Xiao is giving Mu Ya to drink. Mu Chen expresses worry regarding Mu Ya's dietary needs, urging Zhang Xiao not to introduce unfamiliar foods to the child. Zhang Xiao remains calm, her gaze steady, questioning Mu Chen's concerned expression. Seated with Mu Ya, Zhang Xiao asks Mu Chen to articulate her troubles, seeking clarity amidst their complicated relationship. Mu Chen confronted Ning Zheyuan about a misunderstanding, using the word piao, which she took offense to. Ning Zheyuan tried to clarify her innocence, explaining that she misheard and misunderstood the word. Mu Chen sat across from her, visibly annoyed, while young Mu Ye giggled, unaware of the tension. As an imaginary dragon breathed fire, Ning Zheyuan internally vowed to defend her place for Mu Ye's sake. Mu Chen imagined throwing Ning Zheyuan out, but was reminded of her agility and Mu Ye's fondness. The thought of steaming bone soup appeared, surprising Mu Chen with how he got involved. Ning Zheyuan happily presented Mu Ye with the soup, claiming it was a good source of calcium and that Mu Ye enjoyed it. Feeling humiliated, Mu Chen saw himself being upstaged as Mu Ye's laughter filled the room. Ning Zheyuan asked Mu Chen to join them, but he expressed his dislike for soup. Persistently, Ning Zheyuan encouraged him to try the soup because he worked hard. Mu Chen remained skeptical about Ning Zheyuan's intentions and insistently claimed he wouldn't eat the soup. He reluctantly went to wash his hands, which prompted surprise from the housekeeper. As he returned, Mu Chen found himself with Mu Ya, listening to her call Ning Zheyuan aunt. Ning Zheyuan served him the soup, still optimistic that Mu Chen might try it. Defiantly, Mu Chen remarked on the soup's apparent quality without tasting it. Ning Zheyuan cheekily told him to continue staring if he wasn't going to eat. She turned to ask Mu Ya, who gave a delighted response about the soup's taste. Mu Chen advised Mu Ya on not being picky and encouraged her to eat well. He quietly commended Mu Ya's good eating habits, feeling more conflicted inside. Mu Chen had a surprising change of heart, finding the soup unexpectedly delicious. When Ning Zheyuan questioned his satisfaction, Mu Chen awkwardly mentioned he ate for Mu Ye's sake. He mused about teaching Mu Ye sincerity, while secretly enjoying another spoonful. Pleased, Ning Zheyuan lifted Mu Ya into the air, praising her for finishing her meal. Mu Chen observed the empty dishes and humorously accepted that he couldn't dislike the meal. Ning Zheyuan felt proud and amused that despite his complaints, Mu Chen had finished everything. Mu Chen spoke gently to Mu Ya, emphasizing their shared experiences and bond. As he carried Mu Ya away, Ning Zheyuan realized Mu Chen's growing fondness for both her and the soup. Ning Zheyuan teased Mu Chen about reserving some for him next time, eliciting a rare smile. Mu Chen, holding Mu Ya, coyly agreed that he'd appreciate some portions saved for him. With a playful spirit, Ning Zheyuan giggled and wondered if she should even consider adding a baby bottle to the menu. Mu Chen finds himself simmering with frustration as Zhang Xiao seems to have a unique talent for provoking his temper more than anyone else. In the lavish living room, Zhang Xiao playfully offers a baby bottle to Mu Chen, who dismisses the gesture with indifference. The Mu family home stands imposing and serene at dusk, echoing with the distant laughter of Mu Ye playing inside. Mu Yi reminds Mu Chen of his impending appointment, hinting that it's time he should leave, while Mu Chen holds Mu Ye lovingly. Zhang Xiao prepares to leave as well, instructing Aunt Lan to take care of Mu Ya in her absence. She hesitantly approaches Mu Chen to catch his attention, addressing him formally from across the room. With a soft smile, Zhang Xiao offers him a container, indicating it's a gesture of warmth and care. Mu Chen, unswayed, declares that he isn't hungry, dismissing her goodwill with a cold demeanor. Undeterred, Zhang Xiao clarifies that the food is not for him, but for her dear friend, Yi Kig. Zhang Xiao requests Mu Chen's assistance in delivering the food, explaining her predicament briefly. She reveals she had to work late due to Mu Ye's needs, intensifying the sense of urgency in her voice. Mu Chen smirks, teasing her about the idea of working overtime and its implications. With an impassive expression, Mu Chen hands her money, misjudging her motives for delivering the meal. Zhang Xiao turns away, refusing the money, insisting her actions were not driven by financial reasons. Mu Ye clings to Zhang Xiao's leg, longing for her mother's return, as Zhang Xiao reassures her gently. Later, Mu Chen sits alone under the night sky with a container, pondering over Zhang Xiao's actions with contempt. As he enters a hospital, two nurses admire Mu Chen's striking appearance and wonder about his destination. Mu Chen acknowledges their greeting as he walks past them, carrying the container diligently. Yi Soji queries Mu Chen about Zhang Xiao's whereabouts as Mu Chen places the food beside Yi Kig's bed. The nurses gossip about Mu Chen's wealth and looks, further fueling the aura of mystery around him. Mu Chen explains Zhang Xiao's absence, maintaining his composure despite the scrutiny. He notes that Zhang Xiao personally prepared the meal, adding a tinge of admiration for her skill. Yi Kig notices the portions, realizing Zhang Xiao's thoughtfulness, as she even accounted for Yi Shoji. Observing Mu Chen's unusual chatty demeanor, Yi Shoji and Yi Kig are taken aback by his behavior. Mu Chen internally questions whether Zhang Xiao's talkative nature has rubbed off on him somehow. Reflecting alone, Mu Chen acknowledges that his actions ultimately were all for Mu Ye's benefit. As Mu Chen exits, the nurses bid him farewell, while Yi Kig wonders aloud about Zhang Xiao's relationship with him. Walking down the hallway, Mu Chen contemplates the undefined nature of his relationship with Zhang Xiao. Yi Kig continues to ponder where Yi Soji might have gone, puzzled by his sudden absence. In a corridor, Yi Soji approaches Mu Chen, expressing hope that he will treat Zhang Xiao well, urging him to recognize her worth. In a tense confrontation at the office, Mu Chen questions another man about the pain caused to her because of her parents' divorce. The man stands firm, pointing out the harm Mu Chen's family has inflicted, his voice unwavering. Ning Jiyuan, his concern evident, acknowledges the familial ties and his enduring sense of responsibility as her brother. Ning Jiyuan hastily warns Mu Chen, determined to protect his sister from further emotional harm. As the rain pours, the hospital stands as a quiet backdrop to the unfolding drama, its lights a beacon in the stormy night. Inside, Zhang Xiao visits Mu Ya, who cheerfully mentions her new job and the busy days ahead. Mu Ya, puzzled, questions what Zhang Xiao's job has to do with Ning Jiyuan and another man. Zhang Xiao calmly admits to accepting a nanny position for Mr. Mu's daughter, demonstrating her commitment. In a moment of concern, Mu Ya asks that Zhang Xiao was forced into the job, mentioning Ning Jiyuan's reputation. Zhang Xiao reassures Mu Ya, suggesting a possible misunderstanding, as Ning Jiyuan didn't seem so intimidating. Holding an apple thoughtfully, Zhang Xiao clarifies she signed the contract willingly, not under duress. Despite Zhang Xiao's assurance, Mu Ye urges her to remain cautious around the influential men. Zhang Xiao, smiling confidently, assures Mu Ya she is not one to easily succumb to oppression. As Toji joins them, Zhang Xiao encourages him to return home, ensuring him of her safety. Before leaving, Taxoji asks Zhang Xiao for a private word outside, wanting to discuss something important. Toji advises Zhang Xiao to be careful and promises to be there if she faces any trouble. Zhang Xiao reflects on the similarity between Soji and Yi King, both reassuring figures in her life. Choji, exhibiting caution, expresses skepticism about someone's true nature, warning Zhang Xiao. Zhang Xiao reassures Toji, promising she is equipped to handle difficult people, urging him to leave. Shoji, with a resigned sigh, departs, leaving the door open for future communication should she need help. Late at night, Zhang Xiao receives a surprising call from Mu Chen, his voice urgent yet composed. Mu Chen explains Mu Ye's unexpected crying, prompting confusion and concern from Zhang Xiao, who wonders why. Zhang Xiao considers the situation, deciding she must intervene to bring comfort to the distraught child. On the phone, Zhang Xiao is surprised by Mu Chen's insistence on waiting before heading out. Mu Chen offers to pick her up, expressing concern for her safety given the late hour and rain. Agreeing to his suggestion, Zhang Xiao waits in the lobby, her mind contemplative about Mu Chen's protectiveness. As Mu Chen arrives, Zhang Xiao's amusement at his efforts to ease her inconvenience blossoms into a smile. The car is enveloped in a heavy silence as they drive, the tension palpable between Zhang Xiao and Mu Chen. Mu Chen questions the rift between Zhang Xiao and Mu Ya, contemplating potential causes and solutions. Mu Chen, looking out at the rainy night, expresses a belief that Mu Ya's distance may change with time. In the dimly lit car, Mu Chen listens as Zhang Xiao voices her concerns about his neglect of Mu Ya, emphasizing the need for genuine time together. Zhang Xiao reflects on her own relationship with her father, realizing the resemblance in Mu Ya's situation. The rain blurs the world outside. Zhang Xiao asserts that the roles of nanny and parent are not the same, trying to make Mu Chen understand her perspective. Mu Chen struggles with his priorities, thinking that work takes precedence over everything else. Zhang Xiao challenges Mu Chen's belief, making a strong case for family over work. She insists that material wealth is meaningless without love, hoping to make Mu Chen reconsider. Her hand falls back as she stresses the importance of parental love for Mu Ya. Mu Chen counters sharply, reminding Zhang Xiao of her contractual role, not wanting her involvement beyond that. Standing closer, he tells her to stick to the agreement and never develop feelings for him. Zhang Xiao firmly agrees, assuring him that she will never fall in love with him. She explains her motivation, the bond she shares with Mu Ya and the desire to ease Mu Chen's jealousy. Mu Chen is left pondering her words, realizing the sincerity behind her actions. The scene shifts to the Mu house under the heavy rain, a metaphor for the tension within. Inside, Zhang Xiao gently comforts Mu Ya, urging her to sleep, seeking peace for them both. Mu Ye softly calls for her mother in her slumber, and Zhang Xiao reassures her of her presence with a tender touch. Mu Chen observes their bond quietly, contemplating Zhang Xiao's words about security and connection. His mind drifts to a past memory of Mu Ye looking frightened, revealing a deeper layer of his guilt and concern. An internal monologue emphasizes his reluctance for Zhang Xiao to become too close to Mu Ya, shaped by external expectations. Zhang Xiao gazes out at the rain, pondering the suddenness of the storm as if it echoes her turbulent thoughts. She decides to stay for the night, seeking solace in the natural rhythm of the storm. Mu Chen is startled by Zhang Xiao's unexpected presence in the room, catching him off guard. He questions her intent, feeling territorial about his home, while Zhang Xiao seems unintentionally intrusive. Mu Ye's soft voice calls out, grounding Zhang Xiao back to her duty and comfort zone. Zhang Xiao assures Mu Chen it's late. She will stay with Mu Ya, guarding her rest. Mu Chen stands firm, reminding Zhang Xiao of the familial sentiment attached to Mu Ye's bed. She concedes, feeling weary, but highlights the practicality of staying nearby in case Mu Ye wakes up. In a playful exchange, they bicker about further responsibilities, highlighting the tension between duty and personal desire. Mu Chen resigns to leave, acknowledging the situation and Zhang Xiao's logical stance. Observing from a distance, Mu Chen sees Zhang Xiao asleep on the sofa, contemplating the exhaustion they both endure. As he covers her softly, Mu Chen is reminded of Zhang Xiao's true identity and the complexities of their intertwined lives. The morning sun filtered through the window of a stately home, where Ling Hong Yui found herself waking up on a comfortable sofa, partially covered by a blanket. Aunt Lin noticed Ling Hong Yui awkwardly resting on the sofa, and inquired why she chose that spot instead of a proper bed, despite the room being cold. Ling Hong Yui stretched with resolve, contemplating the consequences of her actions if she dared venture into her room without permission. Ling Hong Yui puzzled over how she ended up so cozy with the air conditioning on, despite not having adjusted it herself. Aunt Lin speculated that perhaps the third young master of Mu Chen had shown a rare moment of kindness by making the arrangement for her comfort. Ling Hong Yui, however, was skeptical and doubted that Mu Chen would be capable of such thoughtful gestures. The two women sat together in a living room filled with elegant decor, discussing Mu Chen's contrasting personality under work pressure compared to his generally arrogant demeanor. Aunt Lin chatted about Chen Ying-er, the daughter of the second family, who was drawn to Mu Chen, and even purchased a villa nearby to be closer to him. Ling Hong Yui mused over the ambition of Chen Ying-er, who, at just 20 years old, seemed determined to win over the 29-year-old Mu Chen. Aunt Lin playfully teased Ling Hong Yui about the possibility that she, too, might fall for Mu Chen's enigmatic charms. Ling Hong Yui dismissed the idea, expressing her wish to remain unaffected by the crowd orbiting around Mu Chen. She then proposed to make breakfast for a friend, planning her day around her responsibilities. The conversation finished with advice about how Ling Hong Yui's friend typically wakes between 8 and 9 a.m., prompting her to manage her time wisely. Ling Hong Yui greeted Mr. Mu politely as she began to execute her morning routine, readying herself for the day's tasks. She carried a breakfast parcel with determination, intending to deliver it to Yi Kig before Muya's morning routine commenced. As Ling Hongyu encountered Mu Chen in the hallway, her mind raced with thoughts, recognizing his challenging demeanor as something she must navigate. Aunt Lin handed Ling Hongyu a card, granting her unrestricted access to the villa, which came with a reminder from the third young master. Ling Hongyu absorbed the thoughtful preparation behind such privileges, finding Mu Chen's actions to be surprisingly meticulous. Stepping outside, Ling Hongyu considered her next moves, pondering whether she could easily hail a taxi from here. Suddenly, a splash caught her off guard, drawing an exclamation as she reacted to the startling event. She stood by the roadside, resigned to stop the approaching car, and considered the driver's apparent sense of responsibility. Inside the car was Ning Jiayuan, whose presence evoked a strong reaction from Ling Hongyu, igniting a sense of rivalry within her. Ling Hongyu's resolve hardened as she vowed to never forgive Ning Jiayuan, preparing for a future encounter to settle the score. Left waiting for a taxi that never came, Ling Hongyu felt the pressing urgency of time, realizing the inconvenience of her location. Ning Jiayuan unexpectedly extended an offer for a ride, catching Ling Hongyu off guard with his surprising suggestion. Ling Hongyu questioned her ears, amazed at the unexpected offer and wondering whether she misheard Ning Jiayuan's unexpected kindness. The conversation shifted as Ning Jiayuan presented his questions with a mix of sarcastic challenge and seriousness regarding the situation. Ling Hongyu politely responded, expressing her skepticism of Ning Jiayuan's intentions while tactfully refusing to believe in sudden altruism. Ning Jiayuan countered with insight, noting the impracticality of catching a taxi in this area, suggesting that her reluctance may leave her stranded. Faced with limited options, Ling Hongyu hesitated before deciding to accept the ride, stepping into the car with a mix of curiosity and reluctance. Zhang Xiao sat in the taxi, handing over money for her ride, explaining she needed to visit the hospital. The driver took the money with a slight smile, acknowledging her payment, but Zhang Xiao felt uneasy. They exchanged some words, with Zhang Xiao pondering whether she would truly receive the service she paid for. The sleek car moved along the road, the driver suggesting additional purchases instead of heading to her destination. Zhang Xiao was puzzled, sensing something amiss in their route. The driver, Ning Jiayuan, remarked about the insufficient fare, justifying a detour to the suburbs. Zhang Xiao thought Ning changed his demeanor swiftly, like a chameleon. She reassured him she'd visit the hospital after eating, thinking of Muya, who would be upset without her. Ning questioned whether she would truly let Muya be distressed. He braked suddenly, considering Zhang Xiao's words and their urgency. Zhang Xiao slyly suggested continuing to the hospital, showing her phone as evidence of their limited time. Ning imagined a crying child, which made his determination waver, and he prompted Zhang Xiao to hold on as they sped up. Zhang Xiao thanked Ning as they maneuvered through the scenic roads quickly, feeling relieved. Meanwhile, Soji was at home, preparing to rush out, speaking to someone about breakfast. His mother, Ling Hongyu, was insistent about breakfast, wanting Soji to eat on the go. Ling inquired whether he had contacted Zhang Xiao, clearly with concerns about her. Passing a package, Ling awaited Soji's response anxiously, hoping he'd heed her advice. Soji sensed the tension, asking for clarity about her concerns. Ling recounted a friend's visit during which Zhang Xiao was mentioned as a match for a reputable family. Soji found it baffling, knowing Zhang Xiao's reluctance to marry a stranger. Ling revealed the prospective groom was Ning Jiayuan, adding further complexity to the situation. Shocked, Soji reacted to the mention of Ning Jiayuan, realizing the implications. Back in the car, Zhang Xiao asked Ning if he could drive her home after their current trip. She received a call from Mu Yi, greeting him cheerfully, although he seemed curious about her breakfast. Mu Yi's floating words asked if she had eaten, concerned for her well-being. Zhang Xiao explained she was indeed heading to the hospital to deliver food, reassuring Mu Yi. As the conversation continued, Mu Yi hinted at something important he needed to share. Zhang Xiao listened intently, learning about Ling's intention to arrange a marriage for her. She inwardly questioned about the arranged man, wondering if it was someone previously married. Realization dawned on her. The mention of Ning Jiayuan as the potential groom shocked her, pondering the situation's complexity. Ling Hongyu is on the phone, expressing gratitude, promising to repay someone's kindness. The scene shifts to the grand exterior of Mu Chen's home, suggesting a sense of wealth and status. Inside, Ling Hongyu seems determined, asking what else is needed, indicating a task at hand. Standing by a car, Ling Hongyu holds a box, hinting she brought something or someone back. Mu Chen, dressed in a formal suit, questioned her gratitude, standing confidently outside the home. Ling Hongyu wonders if Mu Chen feels any shame, showing her skepticism of his intentions. She responds to him with a polite but firm thank you, mentioning previous attempts to thwart her plans. He offers sarcastically to let her experience it again, while she confidently dismisses him. As they turn their backs to each other, he reflects on her unwavering determination, acknowledging her strength. Mu Chen briefly doubts his perception, contemplating if he experienced a hallucination. Inside, Ling Hongyu is curious about a car, sparking her intrigue as she heads further into the house. Chen Ying-er, who is new to her, confronts Ling Hongyu, asking who she is. Ling Hongyu is momentarily taken aback, speculating on Chen Ying-er's identity. Smiling, Ling Hongyu introduces herself as Muya's nanny, easing the tension. Chen Ying-er, skeptical about her abilities, questions Mr. Chen about Ling Hongyu's capacity to care for children. Ling Hongyu listens and feels the pressure of Chen Ying-er's judgment on her youthful appearance. Urgency arises when Chen Ying-er instructs Ling Hongyu to wake up Muya, highlighting her responsibilities. Ling Hongyu apologizes but recognizes Chen Ying-er's lack of concern for her, accepting the hierarchy. She carefully approaches Mr. Chen, who seems preoccupied, understanding the importance of discretion. Acknowledging Mr. Chen's meticulous nature, Ling Hongyu remembers to wash the lunchbox she borrowed. As she ascends the stairs, Mr. Chen watches her, silently acknowledging the mention of Muya. Chen Ying-er attempts to engage Mr. Chen, but his focus shifts to more pressing matters. Ling Hongyu hasn't returned yet, and Mr. Chen notes her absence, hinting at underlying concerns. Chen Ying-er expresses a desire to see Muya, but Mr. Chen remains indifferent, maintaining his stoic demeanor. Chen Ying-er inwardly complains about Ling Hongyu's beauty, feeling threatened by her presence. Mr. Chen, unfazed, warns Chen Ying-er to address him formally, maintaining authority and proper decorum. Chen Ying-er is taken aback, leading to a moment of realization and shock. She suddenly exclaims Ning Jiayuan's name, overwhelmed by an unexpected connection. Upstairs, Ling Hongyu gently cradles Muya, showcasing her nurturing side in the serene setting. Mr. Chen, joining them, calmly calls Muya, reinforcing a sense of family unity, though the looming issues aren't fully resolved. Mu Chen stands by a door as Zhang Xiao enters, holding Muya tenderly in her arms. Zhang Xiao gently offers Muya to Mu Chen, who carefully touches her hand. From behind, Muya's small figure is seen leaving, hinting that Chen Ying-er has already departed. A query is directed at Mu Chen, questioning his plans to leave. Zhang Xiao suggests that Muya should wave goodbye to her father as he prepares to go to work, while Muya is securely in her arms. A memory surfaces of Muya clinging to someone in the past and following them eagerly. Mu Chen recalls how Muya used to part from him, always with company by her side. Ning Jiyuan is asked if he will accompany Mu Chen, who expresses a desire to spend more time with Muya. In the garden, Zhang Xiao crouches to hold Muya's hand and proposes they go for a walk together. Mu Chen interrupts, suggesting Muya needs nourishment before she becomes too sleepy, despite Zhang Xiao's insistence on the walk. With a childlike curiosity, Muya looks up at Mu Chen, who crouches to invite her on a walk. A playful moment ensues as Muya, with porridge on her face, receives a gentle wipe from Zhang Xiao. Mu Chen feels a warm joy in seeing his daughter so carefree and happy, reflecting inwardly. Imagining the garden's serene lake, Mu Chen considers its proximity and potential hazards for Muya's learning. Reflecting on parental indulgence, Mu Chen acknowledges the difficulty in setting firm boundaries with love as a priority. Zhang Xiao shares her struggle, expressing the emotional weight of responding to Muya's cries and her need to draw boundaries. Frustration peaks as Zhang Xiao throws something down in resignation, indicating she'll leave on her own. Walking away, Zhang Xiao hears Mu Chen's voice calling out for something left behind. Mu Chen demands the return of a bank card, warning of potential consequences for inappropriate handling. Resigned, Zhang Xiao picks up the bank card, showing a sense of reluctant compliance. With a formal tone, Zhang Xiao returns the card, emphasizing her disinterest in its contents. Departing, Zhang Xiao is reminded by Mu Chen that Muya should not mistake her for her mother. Alone in his office, Mu Chen contemplates Mu Ye's potential resilience in moving past Zhang Xiao's absence. Glancing at his phone, Mu Chen finds an unexpected message that captures his attention. Engaged in a phone call, Mu Chen questions Ning Jiayuan about a particular photo, curious about Mu Ye's progress. Reflecting on Zhang Xiao's influence, Mu Chen acknowledges her positive impact on Mu Ye's development. Nevertheless, Mu Chen insists on Zhang Xiao's dismissal, attributing it to dissatisfaction with her professional behavior. Recalling past grievances, Mu Chen's determination to find superior childcare for Mu Ya strengthens his resolve. A notification diverts Mu Chen's focus, news that their presence is no longer needed at the hospital. He makes plans to continue supporting Zhang Xiao's friend indirectly, ensuring generous compensation for everyone involved. Under the serene glow of a crescent moon, a modern building stands tall and luminous. Inside, the name Xiaoji is softly echoed as someone is reassured they may leave. In a sweet, chibi-style drawing, Hexuji and Ling Hong Yuyai share a moment. Ling Hong Yudi requests Hexuji to call her the next morning, bringing back memories of their past conversations. In a softly lit room, Mu Ye approaches Ling Hong Yuye in concern, sensing that something is amiss and seeking clarity. Mu Chen, holding a sleeping Mu Ya, gently informs Ling Hong Yuyi that Mu Ye has a high fever and wants to see her. Mu Ya, nestled against Mu Chen, murmurs softly for her mother, emphasizing her fragile state and need for comfort. Outside the pediatrics department, a critical voice questions why Mu Ye wasn't brought in sooner, given her high fever. Holding Mu Ye close, Ling Hong Yuyi reassures the small, feverish child, while a group of figures stand regretful in the background. A prescription is handed over with clear instructions for treating the fever, emphasizing the urgency for medication. In the hospital waiting room, Ling Hong Yuyi sits on a bench cradling Mu Ya as Mu Chen approaches them. Ling Hong Yuyi reminisces about her own childhood, comparing herself to Mu Ya and recalling the day her own mother left. A dreamlike memory of a young Ling Hong Yuyi calling out for her mother in the night fills her consciousness. The scene shifts to a hospital bed where a younger Ling Hong Yuyi remembers not being allowed to see her mother by her father. Ling Hong Yuyi observes Mu Chen as he arrives with concern, reminding herself how he's different from her father. A moment of quiet appreciation passes between them. Mu Chen is instructed to make warm water for Mu Ya, emphasizing the importance of hydration for a fever. Standing with a relieved stance, Mu Chen confirms there is nothing more needed at that moment, finding a sense of completion. The challenge of administering medicine to Mu Ya rises as Ling Hong Yuyi offers to help soothe the situation. Gently coaxing Mu Ya, Ling Hong Yuyi patiently explains the importance of taking medicine to aid her recovery. Observing Ling Hong Yuyi's success with Mu Ya, Mu Chen is quietly impressed by her nurturing abilities. Mu Ya is sound asleep in Ling Hong Yuyi's arms, ready to be taken home, signaling the culmination of a tiring day. Mu Chen, with a serious demeanor, points out the promise Ling Hong Yuyi made to always be with Mu Ya as they discuss the importance of keeping one's word. Mu Chen emphasizes the importance of being truthful and setting a good example for Mu Ya, especially when it involves promises. Ling Hong Yuyi considers Mu Chen's advice, concluding she will be there for Mu Ya and earnestly seeks help in taking care of another mutual acquaintance, Yi King. In a car ride home, Mu Chen and Ling Hong Yuyi sit together with a sleeping Mu Ya, Ling Hong Yuyi feeling the weight of exhaustion bearing down on her. Mu Chen silently offers his shoulder, allowing Ling Hong Yuyi to lean against him, sharing in a tender moment of solace. Ling Hong Yuyi wakes up in an unfamiliar, cozy bedroom, piecing together the events of the prior night with a sense of confusion. Mu Chen appears at the door, explaining he carried her up the stairs while she was asleep, hinting at his quiet care. Ling Hong Yuyi, shown in chibi form, questions the situation with growing clarity, concerned about Mu Ye's recovery. Mu Chen reassures her that Mu Ye's fever has decreased, providing her a sense of relief. With widened eyes, Ling Hong Yuyi processes the implication of Mu Chen's words, unraveling a deeper understanding. Bewildered, Ling Hong Yuyi can't help but wonder aloud why Mu Chen would take on such responsibilities when there are many others to help, hinting at his intentions. Zhang Xiao ponders about Mu Ye's health, feeling like a promise relies on the child's recovery. Mu Chen advises that Mu Ya needs more attention, emphasizing personal care over reliance on the nanny. As Zhang Xiao descends the grand staircase, a curiosity about an unexpected guest arises. Liu Yongchun introduces herself at the doorway, piquing Zhang Xiao's interest with her elegant demeanor. Zhang Xiao is taken aback by Yongchun's beauty, feeling a sense of admiration. Yongchun explains her midnight call with Mr. Mu and expresses her surprise at finding a beautiful woman in the house. Zhang Xiao is flustered, amused by Yongchun's playful compliments regarding her appearance. Liu Yongchun questions Mu Chen about using Zhang Xiao as a model, intrigued by his attachment to her. Zhang Xiao, previously unsure of the situation, is informed by Yongchun about her perceived firing. Yongchun offers Zhang Xiao a position at her company, promising flexibility and choice in her roles. Mu Chen interjects, claiming he has already secured a contract with Zhang Xiao, which catches Yongchun by surprise. Mu Chen suggests Zhang Xiao should freshen up and change clothes since Mu Ya is still asleep. Yongchun becomes enthusiastic, curious about what occurred the previous night. As they part ways, Yongchun encourages Zhang Xiao to seek her out as she becomes unemployed. Zhang Xiao reminds Mu Chen of his previous intention to terminate their contract, contemplating her next steps. Frustrated, Mu Chen dismisses the contract issue and hands Zhang Xiao a package, urging her to keep it. As Zhang Xiao steps out, she's reassured by a staff member about Mu Ya's dependency on her presence. Outside, Zhang Xiao vents her irritation toward Mu Chen, feeling intense frustration. Chen Ying Er spots Zhang Xiao near a car, demanding her attention with growing agitation. Ying Er, feeling ignored, raises her voice insistently, prompting Zhang Xiao to turn around. Ying Er lashes out physically, prompting a tense confrontation. Mu Chen intervenes swiftly, firmly preventing Ying Er's outburst from escalating further. Ying Er accuses Zhang Xiao of contempt, seeking validation from Mu Chen, who remains neutral. Mu Chen instructs Zhang Xiao to freshen up, preparing for a change in plans and promising to send someone to collect her later. Ying Er argues with Mu Chen about Zhang's suitability, but he dismisses her concerns. As Ying Er leaves, Aunt Lan is tasked with escorting her, following Mu Chen's wishes. Mu Chen attends to Mu Ya with gentle care, ensuring she remains undisturbed. Once more, Mu Chen sternly warns Ying Er to stay quiet and avoid disturbing the household peace. Seething with resentment, Ying Er contemplates her next move, feeling thwarted by Mu Chen's protectiveness over Mu Ya. Reflecting on the confrontation, Zhang Xiao ponders Mu Chen's indirect attempt to call her back, finding his approach both cunning and baffling. Zhang Xiao sits inside a car, reflecting on the events of the previous night where she had to deal with an intimidating contract. She considers reaching out to someone named King, contemplating returning to a previous job. Zhang Xiao discusses the erratic behavior she encountered, feeling misunderstood and unwilling to return unless for a good reason. Recalling Mu Ya's condition, she feels a connection with the child and is determined not to hold grudges. Carrying Mu Ya, Zhang Xiao questions why she has to see someone off. The maid gently informs Zhang Xiao that she's being requested, which puzzles her further. Zhang Xiao feels frustrated with the vague explanations regarding the man's intentions. Mu Chen arrives, making a comment that seems to belittle someone's intelligence. Zhang Xiao internally reacts to Mu Chen's arrogance, deepening her resolve. Outside Ning's company, the sky is clear, hinting at the start of a workday. Mu Chen, standing in the lobby, asks about Mu Ya's well-being while assuming a calm demeanor. Confidently, Mu Chen mentions inviting Zhang Xiao back, noting the challenge it presents him. An employee approaches, announcing the arrival of unexpected guests. Liu Yongchun excitedly greets Mu Chen and Jia Yuan, introducing herself warmly. Trying to pitch a proposal, Liu Yongchun discusses a potential match for Jia Yuan, but he seems uninterested. Jia Yuan declines politely, emphasizing his busy work schedule. Liu Yongchun insists on the meeting, highlighting Zhang Xiao's noteworthy background that could be beneficial. Jia Yuan and Mu Chen share a surprised glance at the mention of Zhang Xiao's name. With curiosity, Jia Yuan questions the legitimacy of Zhang Xiao's family ties. Liu Yongchun confirms Zhang Xiao's identity, urging Jia Yuan to consider the meeting. Jia Yuan reflects on Zhang Xiao's estranged relationship with her father, understanding her independent journey. Liu Yongchun reassures that arrangements can be made, though Jia Yuan is skeptical about her intentions. She suggests Zhang Xiao's stepmother, Han Yu, cares deeply for her, which intrigues Jia Yuan. After pondering, Jia Yuan agrees to the meeting, setting it for the next month. Satisfied, Liu Yongchen is pleased with the plan and confirms the decision. Alone, Mu Chen questions Jia Yuan's genuine intent behind meeting Zhang Xiao. Jia Yuan feigns enthusiasm, but secretly suspects ulterior motives from Zhang Xiao's family. Concerned about potential risks, Mu Chen probes Jia Yuan about the danger this venture might entail. Jia Yuan defiantly assures that romantic feelings won't sway him, focusing on intensifying the tension between Zhang Xiao and her family. Smirking, Jia Yuan relishes the prospect of disrupting familial peace, seeing the scenario as both strategic and entertaining. Mu Chen stands in his office, discussing an event with Mu Xiao. They talk about attending Liu's party and ensuring Mu Ya is brought along, emphasizing the gathering of close friends. Mu Chen appears deep in thought, contemplating the involvement of Zhang Xiao in the evening plans. There is a sense of considering the implications of her presence. In a hospital corridor, Zhang Xiao cradles Mu Ya, who is peacefully asleep, while a nurse affirms the comfort provided even in the hospital setting. Zhang Xiao turns around, acknowledging someone calling her name, curious about who is addressing her. Dr. Gao introduces himself to Zhang Xiao, mentioning their long absence. He expresses admiration, noting how she has become even more beautiful over the years. Zhang Xiao, holding Mu Ya, feels unsure about recognizing Dr. Gao, as significant time has passed and much has changed in their lives. Dr. Gao, adjusting his glasses in slight frustration, asks Zhang Xiao if she is married and whether the child with her is hers, showing interest in her current life circumstances. Zhang Xiao explains her role as Mu Ya's nanny and the reason for their hospital visit. She describes Mu Ya's recent fever and the necessity of follow-up checkup. Dr. Gao's demeanor softens, understanding the situation fully now, and feels relieved that Zhang Xiao is not married, reaffirming his interest. Dr. Gao offers his assistance, revealing his profession as a pediatrician, and Zhang Xiao expresses gratitude, relieved to have found the appropriate medical expert. Meanwhile, Mu Chen, on a phone call, is informed about Dr. Gao's evident interest in Zhang Xiao. He hears about Dr. Gao's unmarried status and apparent happiness at seeing her. The conversation shifts back to the party, with Mu Chen giving instructions to Aunt Lan concerning preparations and mentioning the delivery of the dress to Zhang Xiao. Mu Chen, sitting alone in his office, reflects on Zhang Xiao's ability to attract attention wherever she goes, pondering the complexities of her interactions with others. Outside the hospital, Dr. Gao suggests having a meal together to catch up further, given the years of separation. Zhang Xiao politely declines, needing to take Mu Ya home. Dr. Gao insists on bringing Mu Ya along, trying to convince Zhang Xiao, while gently interacting with Mu Ya, highlighting his familiarity and ease with children. Suddenly, Mu Chen appears on the scene, questioning his presence there and addressing Zhang Xiao directly, bringing unexpected tension into the interaction. Zhang Xiao stands her ground against Mu Chen's implications, defending herself and requesting that he not bring personal history into the matter, asserting her independence. Mu Chen takes Mu Ya into his arms, urging Zhang Xiao to join him quickly in the car, while Dr. Gao watches the scene unfold in silent observation. After Mu Ya is settled, Dr. Gao asks about Mu Chen's identity. Zhang Xiao explains Mu Chen's typical demeanor and hints at a future conversation when she has more time. Dr. Gao hands his business card to Zhang Xiao, encouraging her to keep in touch, to which she agrees, pocketing the card for later use. Inside the car, Zhang Xiao gently persuades Mu Ya to hand over the business card, ensuring it is safely kept. Mu Ya giggles happily, sharing the moment with Zhang Xiao and Mu Chen. The car begins to move, and Mu Chen lowers the window, inviting Mu Ya to enjoy the passing scenery, trying to create a pleasant journey for her. Zhang Xiao quickly stops Mu Ya from acting impulsively, ensuring the card is not thrown out, maintaining her composure amidst the lively child. Mu Ya laughs joyfully, capturing Zhang Xiao's attention as they both share a moment of amusement, lightening the atmosphere within the car. Mu Chen calmly asks Zhang Xiao if anything is wrong, observing her quiet demeanor as they sit together, suggesting the possibility of emotional conflict. Mu Chen questions why Zhang Xiao allowed Mu Ya to handle the card, offering to stop the car if she wants to retrieve it, presenting a solution to her predicament. Zhang Xiao responds with determination, willing to stop the car herself if needed, as her frustration peaks over handling the situation with Mu Ya. Mu Chen dismisses Zhang Xiao's suggestion, unwilling to stop the car, and casually mentions he can offer substitute paper, indicating an abundance of such items. He then offers a box of paper as compensation, humorously overstating the situation, while Zhang Xiao is left with a silent, unimpressed reaction. As they continue their journey, Mu Chen mentions his obligation to attend a party that night, subtly bringing the conversation back to their social commitments. Zhang Xiao is sitting confidently, waving off a suggestion with determination, asserting that it has nothing to do with her. Mu Chen is gently patting little Mu Ya on the head, promising to take her with him. Zhang Xiao expresses her concerns about Mu Ya's bedtime, questioning Mu Chen's ability to properly care for the child during late-night parties. Zhang Xiao states her dislike for attending such social parties and seems firm in her stance. Mu Chen emphasizes the importance of Zhang Xiao's presence for Mu Ya, reminding her of her duty. In an attempt to persuade Zhang Xiao, Mu Chen offers a substantial sum for her overtime, acknowledging her important role. Despite the offer, Zhang Xiao firmly states that her motivations aren't financially driven. Mu Chen observes Zhang Xiao, her looks reminding him of someone named Tong Tong, yet her personality is unexpectedly different. He rejects the idea, reminding himself of her true identity as Zhang Hao Qinglan's daughter, not someone else. Zhang Xiao notices Mu Chen's intense glare and recalls that his attitude shifts negatively when he gets like this. Mu Chen insists that she must accompany them despite her reluctance, showing his resolve. Zhang Xiao remembers an old family conflict between the Mus and the Zhangs, feeling conflicted about angering Mu Chen further. She ponders the resentment between them, wondering why it seems so personal if it's just about business. Mu Chen's voice calls her name with an underlying charge, drawing her attention sharply. He motions for her to come closer, closing the distance with an air of seriousness. Zhang Xiao is cautious, maintaining a barrier between Mu Chen and herself, questioning his intentions. Mu Chen defensively reiterates the boundaries set in their agreement, distancing himself emotionally. Zhang Xiao asserts her commitment to the contract's terms, clarifying her professional boundaries. Despite the tension, Mu Chen reminds her of the financial aspect in a frustrated tone. At breakfast, Mu Ya is eating porridge, and the housekeeper thanks Zhang Xiao for her influence, observing Mu Ya's good behavior. Zhang Xiao inquires about Mu Ya's past, curious about how she was managed before her arrival. The housekeeper explains that Mu Ye became less responsive after her mother's passing, showing a photo to calm her down. Zhang Xiao reflects on the past year and the traffic accident that changed so much for both families. Mu Chen confirms that Mu Ya's mother died in a car accident a year ago, a point that intersects with Zhang Xiao's own memories. Realization dawns on Zhang Xiao as she connects her father's accident to the same timeline, deepening her curiosity. She urgently asks Aunt Lan about the car accident, seeking answers about its cause. Aunt Lan, hesitant and nervous, tries to avoid discussing the tightly controlled story of Ms. Ning's demise. Aunt Lan reluctantly reveals details of the accident, involving a young master and a tragic outcome for Mu Ya's mother. Zhang Xiao, piecing together the information, recognizes her father's involvement and questions the issue of responsibility. Aunt Lan explains how Mr. Zhang tried to prevent the accident but couldn't, implying it wasn't entirely his fault. Chen Ying-er expresses her concern about the third young master's inability to accept the truth, hinting at a deep-seated family resentment and the love for Lady Ning. Li Lady reflects solemnly on the pain of losing a loved one, pondering how grief often leads to misplaced hatred. She acknowledges her inability to fully understand the grief experienced by those around her, given her unshared experiences. A flashback reveals a young Li Lady in the rain, feeling anger toward her father after her mother's sudden passing. Mu Ya, the child under her care, is comforted tenderly by Li Lady, who reminisces about her change of heart towards the family for Mu Ya's sake. Li Lady considers how she perceived Zhang Xiao's lack of interest in Mu Ya, showing her uncertainty. Despite her internal doubts, Li Lady embraces Mu Ya lovingly as her phone rings, indicating an incoming call. Answering the call while holding Mu Ye close, Li Lady reassures the caller that Mu Ya is almost finished eating. Zhang Xiao discusses arrangements for an evening dress over the phone, instructing her on how to handle any fit issues. Li Lady politely refuses the offer of a prom dress, explaining her position simply as a nanny. Zhang Xiao ponders why Li Lady isn't being antagonistic towards him today, leading to a moment of reflection. Li Lady admits her past prejudice, acknowledging Zhang Xiao's dedication to Mu Ya and apologizes sincerely. On the phone, Zhang Xiao offers his own apology, committing to spending more time with Mu Ye. As their conversation ends, Zhang Xiao informs Li Lady of his busy schedule but confirms that there's no further problem to discuss. Their farewell on the phone is succinct, with both concluding they have nothing more to add. Zhang Xiao contemplates his actions, questioning if he had been momentarily impulsive in the conversation. Suddenly, Li Lady is startled, causing her eye to widen at something unexpected. She calls out to Ning Jiayuan in alarm, surprised by his sudden appearance. Ning Jiayuan presses Li Lady down into a chair, his actions causing confusion and concern. Li Lady demands clarity from Ning Jiayuan, uncertain of his intentions. Ning Jiayuan denies any wrongdoing, merely wanting to take a closer look at Li Lady's face. He taunts her lightly, daring her to retaliate, while Li Lady questions his sanity. A distraction occurs as Ning Jiayuan hears the soft cries of Mu Ya, altering the tension in the room. Ning Jiayuan immediately releases Li Lady, directing his attention to Mu Ya. In a softened tone, Ning Jiayuan offers to carry Mu Ya, presenting a kinder demeanor. Li Lady watches as Ning Jiayuan approaches Mu Ya, tenderly watching over her in her bed. Li Lady advises Ning Jiayuan to be gentle, suggesting his usual demeanor might frighten Mu Ya if not adjusted. Ning Jiayuan quietly muses about his perceived aggression, hinting at some deeper personal conflict. Li Lady playfully instructs Mu Ya not to let Ning Jiayuan carry her unless he smiles, hinting at a newfound warmth. The scene closes with a gentle moment between Li Lady and Mu Ya, illustrating their growing bond. Zhang Xiao holds Mu Ya while talking to Mu Chen, who seems uncomfortable with the conversation. Zhang Xiao suggests leaving with Mu Ya, which appears to relieve some tension for Mu Chen. As they head towards the stairs, they unexpectedly encounter Yang Chun, who seems surprised to see them. Yang Chun questions why Zhang Xiao is with Mu Chen, implying a curiosity about their relationship. Both Zhang Xiao and Mu Chen express their reluctance to be together, creating an awkward atmosphere. Yang Chun playfully comments on their apparent mutual understanding, lightening the mood. Zhang Xiao points out that Mu Ye moved on her own, leading Mu Chen to ponder her remark. A humorous exchange ensues about whether they should speak up or stay quiet, illustrating their banter. Further playful banter follows as they discuss who talks too much, showcasing their chemistry. Yang Chun reflects internally on Zhang Xiao's ability to turn situations into adversarial ones. Yang Chun invites Zhang Xiao to try on clothes, but Zhang Xiao politely declines, focusing on Mu Ya. Mu Chen interrupts, suggesting Yang Chun to let Zhang Xiao make her own decision, asserting his opinion. Yang Chun insists on Zhang Xiao trying on a dress, appealing to her sense of fashion. Zhang Xiao agrees to try, and Yang Chun enthusiastically leads her upstairs. Aunt Lan questions Mu Chen about Yang Chun bringing clothes for Zhang Xiao, hinting at complexities in their relationships. Mu Chen ponders the implications of their living arrangement, showing a moment of contemplation. Jai Yuan expresses his desire to be with Zhang Xiao as quickly as possible, introducing his determination. Yang Chun encourages Zhang Xiao to try on an outfit, promising to meet later, fostering camaraderie. Mu Ya eagerly awaits Zhang Xiao's return, calling her mommy with affection. Zhang Xiao discovers a broken doll on the floor, leading to a moment of contemplation. Mu Ye cheerfully informs that the doll's hair is irreparable, expressing her candid nature. Zhang Xiao advises Mu Ya to handle her toys with care in the future, gently teaching her a lesson. Mu Ye readily agrees, demonstrating her understanding, which pleases Zhang Xiao. The Mu family's mansion stands majestically, setting the scene of their opulent lifestyle. Mu Chen warmly greets Mu Ya, who appears delighted to see him. Mu Ye happily hugs Mu Chen, conveying her affection and joy. Mu Chen is touched by Mu Ye's closeness, filled with emotion at their bond. Zhang Xiao joins them, explaining the situation with the prom dress and asserting her contentment with her role. Mu Chen queries about the doll's hair, sparking curiosity and concern. Zhang Xiao resolves to ask a toy company about fixing the doll, showcasing her resourcefulness. The grand evening party and luxurious living room is a hub of activity, with guests mingling under the warm lights. Li Lady comments on Mu Ye's growth, admiring how she looks more mature and elegant. Little Mu Ya, showing affection, leans in to give Li Lady a sweet kiss on the cheek. Li Lady observes that Mu Ya, once resistant to affection, now seems comfortable and affectionate in her own way. As Mu Ye sits contentedly in Li Lady's arms, another guest approaches with curiosity about their relationship. Li Lady feels a bit taken aback by the stranger's confidence, who claims to be Mu Ye's nanny, Zhang Xiao. Li Lady addresses Zhang Xiao, realizing they have met before at a different occasion. Zhang Xiao spots Ling Hongyu across the room and suddenly feels anxious, wanting to avoid a confrontation. Ling Hongyu appears, engaging Li Lady in conversation while Zhang Xiao decides to make a discreet exit. Zhang Xiao cradles Mu Ya, whispering softly to comfort her as they look for a quiet corner. Promising to find a calm spot for Mu Ya to rest, Zhang Xiao walks away from the bustling crowd. Mu Ya tugs on Zhang Xiao's dress, expressing her desire for milk, which Zhang Xiao willingly obliges. Mu Ya's innocent request for milk becomes a moment of sweetness, and Zhang Xiao can't help but find it endearing. Captivated by Mu Ya's cuteness, Zhang Xiao feels her heart swell as she gazes at her charge. Deciding to fetch some milk, Zhang Xiao assures Mu Ya they'll return to a peaceful sleep soon. Suddenly confronted by Chen Ying Zhang Xiao is questioned about her presence at the party. Chen Ying criticizes Zhang Xiao's appearance, noting a lack of a glamorous dress. Zhang Xiao explains her role as a nanny, prioritizing Mu Ya's comfort over her own attire. Attempting to continue on her way, Zhang Xiao is abruptly halted by Chen Ying who demands her attention. Chen Ying insists on imparting some unsolicited advice to Zhang Xiao, asserting herself over the younger woman. She warns Zhang Xiao to remember her place, insinuating that Mu Chen is too high above for her notice. Chen Ying's temper flares as she sees Zhang Xiao remaining unfazed and even slightly amused. Mu Ye innocently interrupts the interaction by touching Chen Ying creating a brief distraction. Zhang Xiao praises Mu Ye humorously, expressing admiration for her unexpected intervention. Mu Ye reacts with playful defiance, further endearing herself to Zhang Xiao. Chen Ying accuses Zhang Xiao of overstepping, warning her against fostering aspirations involving Mu Chen. As Chen Ying reflects on past events, resentment seems to bubble to the surface. Zhang Xiao, holding Mu Ya, questions Chen Ying's intentions, maintaining her calm demeanor. Despite the tension, Zhang Xiao feels an internal shift in her view on persistence and understanding differences. Chen Ying retorts, dismissing Zhang Xiao's insights, reminding her of the social hierarchies that dictate behavior.